report. I don't have anything to add to my report. If anyone has any questions, I can answer any questions you might have.
Mrs. Duncan?
I have one question about the last item. You met with Monclova about their pickleball courts?
I asked the administrator of Monclova Township about their project, and he mentioned that they're looking at a 6-court pickleball project in Monclova Township at Keener Park, and the estimated cost is about $117,000. They're applying for a NatureWorks grant that pays up to 75% of the cost, and that application is due on June 1st of 2020.
So is it just courts? Is it lights? Is it parking? Is it just courts?
It's essentially just courts. They're going to have a fence, courts and a fence. I guess there's 2 fences. There's a short fence and a tall fence, but it's going in their park, so a lot of the infrastructure is already in that. So
Okay.
electric is nearby, I guess, and that type of thing. So
They have baseball fields there now, maybe some others, so they already have parking, so
Great.
probably just court.
Thank you.
Did anybody check the other locations, Mrs. Duncan? Okay, there might be a couple others.
I know
White House.
Rossford and White House just said they were doing it in the spring. They set aside land. So it seems like all the communities around us are building pickleball courts. I don't know whether we need to still or not, but it's something to consider.
Any other questions for Mr. Gokenauer? Thank you. Next we have our law director, Mr. Dombey.
Thank you, Your Honor. Briefly, I authorized Palmer Energy to obtain pricing from competitive retail electric generation suppliers so we can get quotes for our upcoming award of a new contract for electricity, hopefully at good rates.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Dombey? All right, next we have our finance director, Mr. Williams.
No report tonight.
Thank you. Next we have our treasurer.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. I have a very brief report. We don't quite have November closed yet, but we do have October reconciled, and you should have a copy of my report. Through October, we're at about $7.3 million in cash and investments, which is the second highest over the last 2 years, so that's good news. Our general fund's at about $2.2 million, which is the highest it's been in the last 2 years, so that's good news. Capital fund and the water sewer fund are also both holding pretty steady and very strong balances. I like telling you right now it's 7.3 because we just wrote some big checks for paving and water waste treatment plant notes and all that, so the numbers will be down in November, but good news for October. So that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Any questions? Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, next we have our police chief, Chief Albano.
Evening, council and mayor. The only thing I have to report tonight is interviews are done, and we're in the final steps of finalizing the last applicant. We should probably do that in the next couple weeks. That's all I've got.
Joe, when you say last applicant, you're still interviewing, or?
We're done interviewing. I have to meet with John and go over the procedures on hiring now.
Okay, so it sounds like you've narrowed it down to
Yes.
a candidate, okay.
Correct.
Any other questions?
Thanks.
Thank you. Next we have the fire chief.
Good evening. You all have a copy of my current report. Don't have a lot to add other than we attended Light Up Waterville, and I wanted to say thank you to all of you and the community for that. It was a great event. On the fire side, we had a guest speaker at the last training who covered attic fires. It was well attended. It was a great training. We're still working on hiring a couple of new full-timers. And lastly, tomorrow I will be out at Anthony Wayne High School for a select group to give a speech on what we do in the fire service to help out with the recruitment process. So I'll be speaking to a group of seniors on that tomorrow. So other than that, I don't really have anything else in my report except Merry Christmas to all of you if I don't see you before then.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for the fire department?
I saw your ad in the ads, I guess. Any response yet, or is it too soon to expect responses?
I know just from speaking to people that we have several applicants that are getting ready to turn theirs in, and I know of a couple that have turned theirs in. I know that the gentleman that's on duty tonight is also applying, so I mean we have quite a few internal applicants, so this time we should have a decent sized pool.
And when do they take the test? Then they,
The applications can be turned in until December 30th. They have till January 14th to complete the written. And then after that, I'll be working with Mr. Gokenauer, and weather dependent, we will work on the physical agility. But, I mean, in January, we could get a good day or we could get sleet. So it's kind of going to be dependent on that. But we are putting a priority on that, and we'll try to get it done as soon as it's safely possible to do.
all right. Any other questions? All right, thanks. Next we have Mr. Blair, Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I actually really don't have anything to add to my report tonight. It's pretty forward, unless you would have any questions of me.
I think I asked all my leaf questions over the weekend. Does anybody else have any questions?
Still picking up leaves?
Yes, we're going to make one more sweep through Waterville, and hopefully that'll put an end to it. There's a lot of people this over the nice weekend that actually rake leaves out to their curbs.
That's who was asking.
So,
Great. Thanks, Ken.
I think no questions. Thank you.
I'll just mention one thing real quick about the bridge.
Which one? Which bridge?
The 64 bridge. I know we put that one. I don't know too much more about what I told you than the last meeting. They do have a progress meeting tomorrow, I believe, that I'll be attending, and John, Mr. Gokenauer as well. I do know that they have the rails up. You may have noticed that on each side of the bridge. Those have been completed. All the facial panels are up. They're currently working on the observation bump outs. They're forming them right now, so they'll be pouring them in the near future. A lot of stuff's going to be determined by the weather, if they finish or not. I don't know. I don't think that they're probably going to open it up yet this year. There's a couple temperature sensitive issues that if the weather goes sour for the next couple months, then that's going to not allow that to happen. So, and that's about all I know. We'll know more after tomorrow.
All right. Thank you for that update. Anything else? Thank you, Mr. Blair.
Thanks.
Next we have communications from council. Start with Mrs. Duncan.
Two things, briefly. One, Light Up Waterville was a great event. It was well attended. I was at Dale's with Santa, and there was lots of children through. There was never really a long line to wait to get in, which was good because it was chilly, but there was a steady flow of kids. And I had more people say to me, "This is why I like to live in Waterville, these kind of events." And I was like, "Why?" I mean, I don't know. And they said, "Have you ever gone to the mall with a 2-year-old and tried to wait for 2 hours in line to go see Santa, to have a picture taken with them screaming?" I said, "No, actually, I haven't." They said, this is so much easier." And I took a lot of pictures of families, and they just, it was very well attended and very appreciated by the people that were there, and that was great. And the other thing that I want to remind people of, speaking of two bridges, is we have until December 20th to comment on ODOT's website. If we have a comment about the bridge and not having them go through with their plan to take the bridge down. If we are opposed to that, or if you are in favor of it, actually, you should respond also. But we have till December 20th to put our comments into ODOT about their project. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Pedro?
A couple things. Number one, the feedback I heard about Light of Waterville was very positive, so thanks to the committee and the staff that put that on. Number two, the Public Safety Committee met a couple weeks ago, and one of the suggestions of one of the committee members a meeting or two ago was to put a name and a face on our public safety, both police and fire. So we had two officers, they're here tonight also, that came to that meeting, and we had three officers, or firefighters rather, that came to our meeting, and that was probably one of the best meetings we had in a long time. We had good communication, but it was nice to take a look and meet our staff. So thanks, guys, and thanks, Doug, for bringing the firefighters to the last meeting. I want to thank the committee that put on the holiday Christmas dinner for the staff and volunteers last week. It was a very good meal. I know, who cooked that down there?
Melissa.
Melissa?
All by herself.
No, it was very good.
Great
So
job.
thanks to the committee. And that's all I have for right now.
All right, Mr. Rosie?
Everything Tim said,
Yeah.
I'll second that, of course.
Ditto it.
But just want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a very healthy and happy New Year. We won't be meeting again this month, so all the best to all of our residents, staff, council members. That's all I have.
Thank you. And Mr. Fry?
Yeah, just want to echo everybody else here. The Saturday's event was very nice. Handed out cookies
We
with
did.
the mayor, so, and the church Vision
Mhm.
Church?
Vision Ministries?
Yeah, brought the hot chocolate, so everybody was enjoying that. Came in and warmed up a little bit, so. And Kenny, great job with the lights. I know I've told you this already, but it looks good, so, very nice. Public Works did a nice job. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Bruno?
Just wanted to say we had a great Christmas party as usual, and Merry Christmas to everyone.
Thank you. I'll echo all those comments. And then one piece of business for you guys. I sent you an email, probably didn't get to see it before you came. We have to finish somebody's performance review, so when you have time, if you have any questions, let me know. I sent it by email for you guys. All right, under old business, we have ordinance 08-19, an ordinance amending the municipal zoning map of the city of Waterville to change the zoning classification of a certain 43-acre parcel of land, part of parcel number 96-25959 and parcel number 96-25961, located at 6730 and 6824 Anthony Wayne Trail from A1 agricultural to M1 industrial district. We've had our first, second, and third reading and public hearing, and this ordinance is currently tabled until December 9th, which is this evening. And so I bring this one to council. And we would need a motion to take that off the table.
So moved?
Second?
And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Couple of thoughts. This was a while ago. It was tabled. I think it was October. I'm not quite sure. Goes back a ways. This is that parcel of land, and you guys received information on this at previous council meetings about not doing the entire side to side of that parcel, the 43 acres, but making a smaller, roughly 22 to 23 acres, M1. I was looking at some additional research today and the last week. If you're familiar with the parcel of land, when the infrastructure was put in at the front, Tom Duval, we got some right of way up there and has the road up there, but he did we did a planned business park in his area. That's where the restaurant's sitting, which is currently a business office. But the difference in the planned business park as opposed to the M1 that we have here, you can have both M1 or C1, C2 in different uses in there. We did that so it would be more of a light industrial or a business park. And one of the differences that we did up there is in the planned business park, you have deed restrictions, which has an architectural review committee, which makes it a little more stringent on how it looks. So I wanted to throw that out there for council that you could go M1, and I believe you could still have deed restrictions when you sell the land if you sell it. I will refer to my solicitor there, but you also could do it through a planned business park and do the area that way too. And within the chapter in our ordinances, 1144B, it goes into details on how you do that and who's on that architectural review. One example would be the restaurant that was built up there off of Dutch Road. It's much more stringent in how it looks. I do know that Mr. Duval did have interest in one of his parcels after the restaurant, and he did not sell it because they could not adhere to the deed restrictions that were put in place in that. So I guess I want to throw that out as an idea with some of the concern that residents had on how it might look. And then I also would just reiterate that we talked about changing the size of the original zoning that we wanted to change. So I want to bring that up for people to think about and see if anybody else had comments on any of the information we received. One more quick one. The developer who works with the builder back off of Wilkshire, the neighborhood that backs up to that partially, Mr. Mitchell. I did speak with him today, and I spoke with him in the last year and a half since he has been building that neighborhood back there. He said I could pass on that. He said if part of that land, the other portion of that 43 acres, which would stay agricultural, if it was available in the future, he may consider purchasing some of it. He did not give an amount. He said that things have changed a bit in a year and a half. They're still building, but they're not building as quickly as they have in the past. He said new units for the development side. He said there's more likely people go in and build 30 homes as opposed to it used to be 50 in the neighborhood. It hasn't, I guess it's slowed down a little bit. He did throw that out there. He is also busy looking at a couple other areas which aren't Waterville for building subdivisions in those areas. So he has a bit of interest. He would definitely like to be notified if it becomes available, but he isn't sure if the demand is as big as it was about a year and a half ago for the housing. What's also happened in our area, we have the other section up by Kroger, and they've been building quite a few houses, so that has left. He said, I don't think there's a larger number going up each year, even though it looks like it. He said between the two different builders, it's about the same number. And he also threw out the statistic of 500 building permits in the last 2 years in all of Lucas County for residential. So while it seems like you see a big boom, and it is up from 2008, he said it's not as quick as what people probably think. So just a little feedback on the residential side from his perspective. So with all of that new information or reiterated, does anybody else have any comments on this? Take a look.
It seems to me that the entire 117 acres for Waterville, that's really one of the last pieces of ground in Waterville that is developable, other than what's happening along the Prairie Boulevard, Waterville and Clova, and this piece. I think those are the main, correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm wondering, and I communicated earlier that maybe we should have somebody look at it and tell us what would be the best use for the entire parcel, instead of just doing it a little bit at a time. 23 acres now, and then we have another 23 acres, and we still have 80 or 70 acres remaining, which is unfortunately transversed by a power line. And I don't know what the cost would be to have a revision of the master plan with regard to that piece, but I guess right today I don't see the advantage of rezoning of any of it until we know what really is the best use for all of it.
Yeah, the master plan, I think it's 8 years old, 2012, it will be 8. It used to be a 5-year thing, and it turned into more of a 8 to 10 year thing. But for a while, we didn't have a lot of building going on as far as residential went. But it probably would be a good time to do that. What you also can do is you can just do a portion of it. As Mr. Rosick said, you don't have to do the whole thing. The last one we did, the full one with Glenn, his company's in Bowling Green. It was I want to say 30 or 35,000, so it was pretty costly. He did not exactly give us the areas, how they should be zoned, or what we should do. What they do is put together the actual master plan, the group that we had. We had citizens which were appointed and council people on there. And between the big group that we came up with a lot of the facts and administration and what we thought. Because the zoning ultimately comes back to you guys. So I would say an update on that section wouldn't be a bad idea. Things have changed since that one went through. And there is some land that isn't as usable as other land, the high wire. But I will say that mainly this came to us from Waterville Economic Development Corporation, which we support, to help us with economic development. And their thought was that if we had some land and did not take the whole 100 and some acres, but a portion, and zoned it so it was ready, that then people would be more likely to look at it. So that was part of the economic development piece. So, but we did go through that. I was on that committee in 12. So yeah, we went through all the iterations. So it will come back to the town deciding what they think should be done with it at the end of the day. You can ask real estate, but so. Any other comments?
Just a couple. Obviously, we had some citizens here tonight and had them here several weeks ago. And not to belabor all those points, but the council has a responsibility to the citizens. The land was purchased 20 years ago or thereabouts. And at the time, it was vacant land. It was just wide open. Speed forward, things change, things develop. And now we're facing with trying to come up with the best plan. The Economic Development Corporation, which I'm a member of, the president of, we obviously are trying to balance homes and businesses because we got to balance the taxes and support the fire and police and roads. So it's a tough spot to be in, but I think we want to be smart about it, and we want to make the right decision because whatever we do tonight or not do tonight is going to impact how we look at that land down the road. Having said that all, I think we alluded to a master plan update several weeks ago, months ago at the last meeting when this was on the table. John brought it up tonight. I'm inclined to probably not support this tonight and come back with a plan for the 117 acres plus other areas of the city. But I'm only one council member, and I think that others will probably want to have their own comment. So either way, part of that property probably will turn into some kind of a business park. I don't think we know that what it could be today, but it does butt up to the property owner, help me out, Mayor, Tom Duvall, and he's got his own land, and so we want to make it somewhat compatible going forward. And then we did talk to Mr. Mitchell several months ago, and I know that he's interested in that property as well. So the reason why we pushed this out 90 days, we wanted some more time to think about it. I think I also said from this podium that there was something else in the making that I couldn't talk about. I still can't talk about it, but I can tell you this much. That plan didn't quite come out to play like I thought it was. We're not dead in the water, but some other things didn't quite come into play. So that's my position at the moment.
Thank you. Other council members? Comments?
I think when you talked about the deed restrictions and how I'm gonna assume a certain building wasn't able to be built because of the restrictions, looking at a master plan and seeing what we could do in terms of mixing the property up, because it is a lot, and we brought it down from 43 to 23, would probably benefit the city as well.
Mr. Fry?
Yeah, couple things. When you look at the master plan that was done, a good portion of this ground was identified as a planned business park. The other portion of it was more for parks and recreational. And you've got the high tension wires, which is a problem on the westerly part of this parcel. At the same time, we need to look at ways of, you know, finding other sources of revenue for the town, and having a piece of ground that would be available for businesses to come to Waterville, I think would be something good for us to have and be in that position. So, you know, by taking just the 23 acres and identifying it for that source, you know, I think that would be, you know, a good compromise, and then also still keeps the southerly portion available for future residential. And I understand what the builder's saying and the developers, because, you know, now you've got more than one location that's building homes, so, you know, they're not seeing the activity that they probably were seeing. And I believe they just recorded a couple plats back there, so it's gonna take them a few years to go through that anyhow, so. And then again, if you take the northerly part, I mean, it does match up with what Duval has, and would make sense that, you know, and then just kind of step it down as you get closer to the residential, so just some thoughts and comments.
Thank you. Anyone else?
What is the Duval zoning? Do you know what that is?
Planned Business Park.
It's land business? All
Yeah,
that
that's
ground
what I was
behind
talking
the-
about, yeah. We did it as a planned business park district, and then it has the deed restrictions attached.
But he owns up to our property, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And he owns where the restaurant's sitting,
Is it
now
on both
business.
sides of Choctaw, or just the one side?
Both,
Both sides.
yeah. Around his building, the other side, and up to our property line.
Yeah. And I'll ask Mr. Dombey, if we don't approve this tonight and we want to do it later, are we back into the 90-day first, second, third reading and so forth, or are we better off tabling it again? So we've already gone through that process with.
Well, it depends on how fast you think it's gonna move. If we're gonna have somebody do a study, you might as well not worry about 90 days. It'll be a year at least, and you've gotta define the scope of the study, hire the people, bid it out, tell them what you want, what other areas might be included. So I wouldn't anticipate putting it on a table. I would say if it's gonna go down, let it go and start over once we get some recommendations about what is quote, quote, the highest and best use, and what may balance both residential and some business for tax revenue.
In worst case, we would look at another 90 days for the process to get it done.
Yeah, and that's not bad. You're gonna have certainly interest from all those who bordered the property in any event. The 90 days and the 3 readings provides that ability, and I think adds clarity and gets comments out, and is a good thing.
Other comments on this? All right, so brought off the table, we need a motion and a second to take a vote.
Well, and I don't know who put the motion forward. It's been so long, but that person could request to withdraw the motion at this time as well.
No idea who that would be 2 months ago.
No, I don't.
I might have been I think I did. I moved that we table it for 90 days. So I will move that we, what do I move, Phil?
Request to withdraw the motion.
I request that we remove the motion.
From tabling it, or from, he did
It's
the
already
table.
off the
It's off
table.
the table.
Okay,
Oh, but who made the original motion?
I believe Tim.
I did, yeah.
The original motion to table it, or
There was
No.
no
for the
motion.
legislation?
The legislation.
There were only readings, there
Oh.
weren't any motions made
Oh,
on that legislation.
okay.
We only did 3 readings in a public hearing.
So if we withdraw it, we're not gonna vote?
No,
We
no,
can-
we didn't withdraw it. Nobody made a motion to approve it ever. We only tabled it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just withdraw it, make the request.
Does anybody on council have a need to want to do it tonight, or do you want to, while we're discussing it?
So if we do nothing, it just
It dies on its
dies
own.
on its own?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if someone would like to make a motion, feel free. We can cause a vote, or we can let it die.
Well, right now, what's on the table is the 43 acres.
You can amend it, but yeah.
Correct.
It would have to be
I
amended.
thought we already amended it, actually.
No. I don't think we amended it
No, we didn't
previously. We
amend it.
talked about amending it.
No, you would
but we
amend it
never
while you
amended
pass it.
Right.
Right.
Oh.
You could do it.
So,
So if we
Just
do
waiting
nothing, we do
for a
nothing.
motion.
It dies.
Just
Right.
dies on its own.
Yep.
its own
No
authority.
motions?
No motion?
No
We talked
motion.
about it?
No vote? No,
Do we
no.
have to
can
have a
take it.
motion to have it, not have a motion?
Nope.
We can take it off, though, is what I'm saying. You can bring it back and a new ordinance. Okay.
okay.
Going once, there's been a lot of discussion and tabling on this one. Going twice, all right. We'll move on from that old business. All right, still under old business, we have resolution 34-19, a resolution approving and adopting the City of Waterville fiscal year 2020 5-year capital planning program for all municipal funds and departments. Everybody has a copy, and we've talked about this one and had a public hearing. And we normally pass it with the operating budget. Does anybody have any comments on it this evening? Follow up? Seeing none. We'll go to ordinance 18-19, an ordinance amending ordinance 15-19, certain sections of chapter 505 of the general fences code with respect to animals and fowl. First reading was scheduled for November 25th, second reading scheduled for December 9th. Third reading and legislative action will be scheduled for January 13th, and we went over that last time, but does anybody have any questions on that one? Seeing none, new business ordinance 19-19, the ordinance adopting the annual appropriations for the municipality of Waterville for fiscal year ending December 31st, 2020, and repealing ordinance number 20-19 and declaring an emergency. First reading scheduled for December 9th, 2019. Second reading and public hearing will be January 13th. Third reading and legislative action will be scheduled for January 27th, 2020. Mr. Gokenauer, do you have any comments on this one?
This is the 2020 annual appropriation, the operating budget. It includes the 5-year capital. It was presented to the Finance Committee at their meeting on the 15th, and they recommended that it be adopted.
And like I said, the public hearing will be at the next meeting also. Does council have any questions this evening, comments?
I do have, I should have asked this question earlier. Are these just substitute pages for the capital budget that you included in the packet?
Well, we had, I think we had a council person that didn't have the updated
Oh,
vehicle
yeah.
schedule, so I made sure we had the updated vehicle schedule. And then, the page 2 of the capital, which is the pre-funding, schedule, there was an error in the, original pre-funding schedule where, the beginning balance of the 325 for 2020 went up $52,000. So what we did there was we had an expense that we included in 19 that actually should have been in 20. So that's the water meter replacement project. If you remember, the grant funding didn't come in until next year, so we delayed it till next year. But part of that was still in the 2019 budget, so we took that out, and then the beginning balance in the 325 fund for 2020 has gone up $52,000, so that's the change there.
Same money, different year.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
So you
Other
fixed the
questions?
cars?
We did.
Thank you. All right, if there aren't any questions, bring them to the next meeting.
Yep.
For the public hearing. All right, ordinance 20-19 is an ordinance adopting temporary appropriations for the municipality of Waterville for months of January and February 2020 and repealing ordinance number 21-19 and declaring an emergency. And this is legislation we usually do since we pass the budget in the next year.
Gotta pay the
So,
bills.
Mr. Gokenauer, do you have anything to add on that one?
The temporary appropriations would be effective until March 1st of 2020, when council has to pass the final appropriation.
All right. So I will move that the rules be suspended to allow for the passage of ordinance number 20-19 as an emergency measure, and I will need a second.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mayor Brody?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mrs. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Pedro?
Yes.
Mrs. Bruno? I'm sorry. Mr. Rosen?
Yes.
Now I will move for the final passage of ordinance number 20-19, first and final reading as an emergency measure.
Second.
All right, are there any questions on that? If not, roll call, please.
Mr. Rosen?
Yes.
Mr. Pedro?
Yes.
Mrs. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mayor Brody?
Yes. Next, we have ordinance 21-19, an ordinance amending ordinance number 17-19, the amended fiscal year 2019 annual appropriation ordinance, and declaring an emergency. And this is our regular amendments. Do you have any update on that, Mr. Gokenhour?
It's our annual end of the year, I guess we refer to it as our cleanup amendment ordinance, that we adjust revenue and expense so we can balance the year and close out the year.
Were there any big highlights on there that you had noted?
Well, we have a tax sharing agreement with Waterville Township, and I guess it's a good thing that our tax base keeps going up, where we have to keep paying the township more in our tax sharing agreement, so that's probably the largest item in there. It's $9,576.
Any questions, council, on the adjustments? All right, seeing none, I will move that the rules be suspended to allow for the passage of ordinance number 21-19 as an emergency measure. Need a second?
Second?
Roll call?
Mr. Rosen?
Yes.
Mayor Brody?
Yes.
Mrs. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Pedro?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Now I will move for final passage of ordinance number 21-19, first and final reading as an emergency measure.
Second.
And any questions? Roll call?
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mr. Pedro?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mrs. Duncan?
Yes.
Mayor Brody?
Yes.
Mr. Rosen?
Yes.
All right. Do we have any other information or unscheduled business this evening?
I would just get back to the property again,
Yes.
and but whether we should consider an analysis of the property, if we want, something we should think about. I don't think we have to decide tonight, maybe.
Put it in the budget.
Yeah, make sure it's in the budget at some point, but just mostly concerned about that property, and something, unless you want to decide tonight that we should look into retaining a specialist, or we can defer it, but I don't want to forget that that might be something we should do.
I think it's a good
Definitely.
idea.
We have $60,000 appropriated in 2022 to update our master plan. Every 10 years we update it. So that is in the 5-year capital. So
I would say maybe
that is in there.
if you're only going to do one section, it definitely would take a lot less time. So it would be quite a bit less, I'm sure, but you could move that up
Yeah, good idea.
in that area. Any other comments? All right. Next I have a presentation to myself, I believe.
Lori, you're invited to step down onto the floor.
All right.
Don't talk to yourself.
That's pretty good, Lori.
I have a presentation to myself.
If you notice, we have some special guests here this afternoon. We have part of the Brody family of her husband Kyle. Kyle, you want to stand up and say hello? And her son Joe. So, Lori, I've been given the opportunity to express a couple of comments. This part? This is a roast. Yes, this is a roast. Well, we're trying to have fun, but be serious at the same time. So let me start off by saying, well, here we are on December 9th, 2019. Who would have known, who would have thought rather, and known that a woman from, by the name of Lori Banker, later married to Kyle Brody, from the state of Indiana would have been elected not only a city council member, or as Lori would kindly say, our town of Waterville, but Waterville's Ohio Council, and then first woman mayor in the city of Waterville. Give her a round of congratulations. Laura, you've blazed the trail, and truly you have left your mark on Waterville. Your legacy lives on. There are many, many successful stories, accomplishments under your leadership. And yes, there are, but let's reflect on a few things first. I did some research today, and Kyle helped me a little bit, sort of. My notes here. It's here somewhere. Right there it is. I found it. So, you know, you think about it. What are you going to say about a mayor that's been there 16 years, 8 years on council, 8 years as mayor? You know, what are you going to say about all the accomplishments? Well, we'll talk about that later. So I did a little research. Joe, what do you think Lori means? Well, you always bring completion to anything you start. You are generous, but you like to see returns from your giving. You have an executive ability. You're a leader. You're moral, balanced, honest, intellectual, and you may attain spirituality. You're a wise, and she's practical, with an appreciation of beauty. You always think before you act, and I do believe that sincerely. You are frank, methodical, and you believe in the law. Phil, you believe in the law.
It's a good thing.
Your desire to inspire and lead and to control others' affairs. You're a giving, courageous and bold, action-oriented, energetic, strong-willed. You want to make a difference in the world. And the attitude often attracts your cultural interest in politics, social issues, and the civilization of your creative talents. Kyle, I went back to that strong-willed. Would you agree she's strong-willed? Joe? All right. So let me just continue. I mentioned a lot of accomplishments. You know, Waterville is fiscally sound. We talked about that tonight going forward. We've been recognized as one of the safest communities in the state of Ohio to raise a family. Also, we continue to have a nice small town atmosphere, well planned out growth. Provide leadership to our council and several committee members over the years. We have a new bridge, well, almost completed, parks, roads, exceptional dedicated police and fire and public works department, and a significant success is a new, safe, reliable water system. We are so much looking forward to the new park on the Maumee River, the original town square where it began many years ago. Our downtown and Route 2464 corridor continues to show positive progress. So, as you can understand, nothing but good foundation to build upon. Now, keep in mind we're still in official session today, and there's many citizens in the audience and on the TV that are going to are welcome to join me in the city administration and the staff and the city council, both past and present, to expressing our thanks and gratitude to Lori for 8 years on council, 8 years as mayor. And I know my fellow council members, and probably John, will offer a few comments in a minute. But we have some special, close people that want to say hello to you. So bear with me just for a minute. I got to find my phone here. There it is. Just takes a minute.
I heard tonight's your last council meeting. I just wanted to say congrats on the 8 years as mayor. That's a pretty cool thing to be able to say that you did that. And I just wanted to say thanks for giving me, a heck of a parent to look up to. Everyone's eyes and everyone just kind of lights up and is like, whoa, your mom's really the mayor? And, you brushed it off for most of the time, but when you look back on it, you've had, a really tremendous impact on a very good-sized small town. But I just want to say congrats. on the 8 years. Wish I could be there to give you a hug. I'll be back home, see you soon enough.
And, not to be outdone, because sisters are good too, and let's see if we can get this to work faster.
Hey Mom, it's Abby. I just wanted to say congrats on 2 successful terms as mayor. It's been awesome watching you on this journey, and especially you being the first woman mayor. You give me a lot to look up to, a lot to strive for. So just want to say I love you and enjoy tonight, and I can't wait to see you soon. Bye.
Joe, you're welcome to say something if you want. Come on up here, if you want.
This is the baby. Wait, he was not around when I started.
I'll just go off what they said. That was really cool to see you do it. Well, half of my life, you know. Yeah, and it was cool growing up saying that my mom was the mayor in charge of people.
And we're the only duo to be the mayor of 3rd grade when I won mayor of the city. We were the mayors together.
Wow, he's in 3rd
Carl,
grade.
you're welcome to.
This, I'm the emotional one of the family. But Tim, what I want to first say is 2 things. One, you might want to, your first meeting, you might want to table it. January 13th, the Ohio State Buckeyes will be playing for the national championship. So you might want to just table the whole meeting, okay? You like to table things, let's go, baby. So, and I just want to say, and number 2, Tim, I love you. The thing I think that's going to be sad is for the city of Waterville. It's a lot of good things, but it's going to lose the distinction of having the hottest mayor in the nation. And that'll be over as soon as you take over. Don't take that wrong, okay? Don't take that wrong. But no, it's wow. I'm sorry. Hearing my kids, that was tough. All I want to say is. I've watched behind the scenes. I've watched all the work that goes in. It looks easy up here, and you know, you really kicked ass, and you know, you have made it like you do everything. You just made it look easy, and I think that's. I'm very proud. So just let you know.
Thanks.
Now, one more person wanted to say hello.
Message for Lori Brody from her mom and dad. And we know that tonight is your last council meeting as mayor. And we just wanted to say congratulations and how proud we are of you for all you've done the last 8 years for the town of Waterville. And we love you very much, Lori. Bye.
She was my #1 door-to-door walker.
So, what a nice story. Lori, before you get up and say anything, I'm going to invite Anthony. If you want to make a comment?
Yep. Lori, I just want to say I was very fortunate to work with you. I gained a lot of wisdom from you. And, you know, I saw how you reacted to certain things that we dealt with. And I learned a lot from you. And I just want to say that I'll continue my term on city council with the diligence that you served our council with.
Thank you so much. And we'll be neighbors, so.
Absolutely.
I want to thank you for everything that you've done for me. Of course, I started coming to city council here about 3 or 4 years ago, and I'd always sit out there in the audience, and then the mayor asked me to get involved and sit on their charter review committee, and the rest is basically history. After that, I ended up having the interest of being on council, and I just want to thank you for that. It was very enjoyable working with you.
Thanks for coming to our meeting.
John?
Mayor, it was a great pleasure working with you. I appreciate all your help and your guidance, and you know, maybe a twinge of fear when you used to ask those questions at the finance committee. You know, because I had to like prepare because you know. But I appreciate everything you've done for me and for the city and this community. Thank you.
Phil?
It's been a great run and a lot of fun. Thank you.
John?
I would say, Lori, this is really the end of an era for Waterville. 16 years, 8 as on council, 8 as mayor. And it's been a terrific 16 years, and I know you had a lot to do with it. So we certainly appreciate everything you've contributed to the city. You're a role model for any other mayor, particularly small-town mayors, but really any mayor, with the diligence and the intensity that you attack this position. So I think we'll be able to look back fondly on the Lori Brody years in years to come and say that it was a great period for the city. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
So official, everyone's so official. I'm a little looser. So I met Lori at Dale's in Maumee from her friend Betsy, who I had known for a long time. And recently Betsy had another birthday. This was her birthday party. Do you remember how old she turned? So
A long time ago.
8 years ago,
Oh, okay.
you know. So I met Lori and she said, "Oh, you're retiring? Well, what are you gonna do?" I said, "Well, I don't know." I mean, she said, "Well, I have a couple things you could do if you wanted to try." I said, "Okay." And then she'd call 2 weeks later and say, "And are you busy on Tuesdays?" "No." "Okay, well, can you go to this meeting?" "Sure." "Well, do you mind going downtown? Because we have this opening down at the health department and we kind of need somebody to go downtown." "Okay." And the next thing I knew, I was on council. So it all started with Betsy, and it's been a great run. We're going to miss you terribly. I think you've done a fantastic job. You obviously inspire others tremendously, and we'll be in touch. We'll have more meetings at the clubhouse.
So, Lori, we thank you from the bottom of our heart, your dedication, your leadership. You've heard from your fellow council members. We wish you nothing but the best. And she's only a phone call away. In the spirit of Waterville's appreciation, we'd like to present you with our traditional token of our appreciation. And while the drum is rolling, we'll go up and get that.
Just a few things. I don't know where he's going to put them all. Oh,
So
pretty.
we wanted to have these flowers as a token of our appreciation.
Thank you so much. Wow. Thank you.
And the city's group piece for you.
Thank you.
And then this was one thing that I thought that every retired mayor should have on their desk.
At home?
Oh, no.
Oh.
So, Lori, the microphone is yours.
Thank you, Mayor 2020.
2020.
I've decided to call the new mayor, Mayor 2020. He has great vision. I didn't know what to call him since he ran unopposed. He knew he would win, so he was Mayor 2020. So, wow, that was impressive. Wow, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Wow, I'm blown away by that, seriously. That was really impressive, the family far away. But first of all, I do want to thank my family. I have to say, when I first decided to run, I really didn't decide to run in 2001. My neighbors came home to our new neighborhood after attending a meeting, and they said, somebody's got to run for council. I was in the new township annexed part, and they said, you just quit your job, Lori, downtown, and we think it should be you. I was like, well, maybe I have time on my hands. But I will say, thanks to my family, Kyle encouraged me. First he said, you need to go down and sit at the meeting and make sure that's what you want to do. So I think I sat February until election. I learned quite a bit. We didn't have the where you could watch it at home, but I did sit here. And for at least the first few meetings, I think they all said, who is that lady and why does she keep coming back? So I really appreciate Rod sitting there for, yeah, I understood it. But I want to thank my family most of all, because they do put up with most of it, and they have to be known as the council or mayor's kid. And I really appreciate their support, and they have to take care of themselves some nights when their mom has to go to work at night. But they also had to do a lot of campaigning and a lot of door-to-door and wearing the shirts and going all around. So thanks to my family who made me do it. But I also want to thank the staff. I appreciate everybody that works here, and I appreciate all that they do, all the past and the present staff. It really has been enjoyable. I said at the party the other night, the Christmas party, but I think we have some of the best staff around, because even if they don't live here, they love our town. So it's a great staff, and I thank you so much for what you've done. And I also thank the volunteers on the committees, and I'll throw the treasurer in there. I was thanking him before the meeting. We've only had 2 treasurers in the last, I don't know. How many years have you been doing it, Steve? 28 plus 15 is, so we've had just 2 treasurers, and they play a big part. But all of the committees, the finance, the planning, all of them, those are citizens, and I can't thank them enough. They make our job a lot easier too. And I want to thank the council and all the mayors that I got a chance to work with. I couldn't have met a better group of people, and you guys are doing a great job, so just keep it up. You're doing a great job. And then last, but of course not least, I just want to thank the residents for the opportunity to serve on council and as mayor. I obviously couldn't do it without those residents voting, but I am just really humbled and honored, and I just can't thank them enough for having the greatest job. Being the mayor of this town was probably one of the greatest jobs I've ever had. So I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Appreciate it. Again. And last but not least, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thanks for the presents. I got presents.